Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Oh, tonight we got a good one. We're back to Buffalo Bill stories, and we're going to pick up right where we left off. I'm going to put on my other glasses and make it all better. Anyway, maybe those don't work either. Anyway, we'll try something new here. There we go. My normal ones for watching the show. Anyway, with that said, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to go back to chapter 17. Cynthia acts as a cook, and we got to find out what happened to Dove Eye, and did Dave Estes, dig out her from the being trapped by the Indians? Well, anyway, we're going to find out tonight. So if you haven't watched all the other shows, go back, pick up where we left off, and watch them all consecutively. It'll be like one big story. And you don't want to hear me babbling as we usually do here. We're going to have me babbling with a picture in the back. And so we are going to go to the share screen. But anyway, thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy the show because, as always, I try to bring you the best and the coolest stuff. So sit back, grab yourself a cup of hot chocolate, hot tea, or whatever trips your trigger at the time. Relax and enjoy. Okay. Hope y'all got that. That was a kind of a break in the show there, but it's all right. Okay. Anyway, there we go. We're going to go to this style. There we go. And you can read along with me. And if you want the PDF for this, just let me know. My email is down in the links below. Check it out. Email me, and I'll send you the PDF. Okay, let's pick up where we left off. Buffalo Bill, having a good supply of grass before Powderface, cautioned Boyd to remain quiet in the hiding place. There was no need to caution Cynthia, for she was bound in her infiltration to remain where her dream spirit was. The scout hurried forward to a point from which he could look down into the valley. He saw, as far as his eye could reach, scattered parties of Indians, apparently in the search of their fugitives. What seemed singular to him was there seemed to be a great accession in the numbers of the Indians, as if all the Blackfeet in the nation were coming to the answer signals of Yellow Bear. But suddenly this was accounted for. He saw the scattered parties in the east riding westward with great rapidness. He saw by wreaths of smoke here and there in the distance that they were not all Blackfeet that were in sight, that the Sioux most likely had come to answer the signal smokes of Spotted Tail. "It is a dog eat dog. Let him fight it out," he said. With his glass, he swept far and near, hoping to recognize Dave Estes. Feeling as if he could relish a square meal, the scout made up his mind to have it, so he returned towards the hiding place where his horse and Boyd kept company with Sunflower. Near the edge of the cliff, Buffalo Bill gathered a bundle of dry sticks with which to make a fire. "All comfortable here?" asked the scout as he entered the cave, threw down his bundle of wood, and unfastened some meat from the strap which held it to his saddle. "Yes, thank you. Have you any news about our Anxious friend in the valley, replied Boyd. Nothing. That serves us just now. They seem pretty busy there at present. I will take another look at them by and by. At present, I propose to have some breakfast. Cynthia knows how to cook. She will prepare the meat, said the girl. Thank you, my good girl, said the scout kindly. If you would rather do it than not, you may. Cynthia took the forked sticks with the hunter had provided and soon had the meat in position. And then, while Buffalo Bill was relating to Boyd his belief that the Sioux had come in contact with the Blackfeet below, she stood and listened. She stood listening when the sound of a stone dropping from the ledge at the mouth of the cave drew her eye quickly in that direction. At the same instant, hearing the sound, Buffalo Bill darted a glance where she did. His hand flew to his pistol belt, for there stood an armed Indian warrior, almost within a spear's length. Chapter 18. The Escape. When it was discovered that the prisoner, the young paleface, had escaped, though he had lain bound hand and foot close to the shelter of branches made for Yellow Bear and his family, there was tremendous excitement in the camp of the Blackfeet. The alarm was given loudly, and parties of braves were sent in every direction. The discovery was made by the sentinel who had been directed to patrol the camp. Yellow Bear, excited to frenzy by the escape of one whom he intended to torture, drove his hatchet into the brain of a luckless sentinel, without waiting to ask how the escape occurred. A moment later, the voice of a young brave was heard shouting. Cynthia, the Sunflower, slept near Wanda, the Queen. She is not there now. Where has she gone? It was Red Plume who spoke. Then he remembered the fair girl had said the paleface should not die, that he was the bright spirit of her dreams. And in an instant he comprehended how the bonds of the paleface had been severed. Cynthia, the Sunflower. Warriors shouted her name on every side, but there was no answer. She had gone with the paleface, said Wanda bitterly. She has turned on the hand that fed her. Like all the bad blood, she has been a she-wolf to steal away those who raised her. When they are taken, let her burn by his side. Yellow Bear did not speak. He bowed his head in grief, for he loved the girl as she were his own child. He had ever called her so. Let not a brave rest till she is found, he said, but let her hair of her head be harmed. Yellow Bear has spoken. Yellow Bear is growing old, said Wanda bitterly. Old and foolish. He lets his heart speak before his head takes thought. He said, he is a child. He stood and gazed at Spotted Tail, who sat upon the ground and looked at him. The Sioux saw the young paleface go off, said Yellow Bear. Spotted Tail nodded assent. Did he go alone? Asked Yellow Bear. Spotted Tail made no answer, and the Blackfeet chief again asked the question. How or when? Said Spotted Tail firmly. I have no tales to tell. Yellow Bear must look to his guards and not to Spotted Tail. Yellow Bear for an instant placed his hand on his hatchet, and he felt like ending the days of the chief then and there. If he did so, he would not have the joy of seeing him tortured. So he turned away and asked for Red Plume. No one could tell where he was. He had gone with the rest to look for Cynthia and the fugitive paleface. Wanda, in her bitterness, said, all this has come because Yellow Bear was not content with his own squaws, but must listen to dreams like a fool. Woman, Yellow Bear will not let even you call him fool, said the chief angrily. You will eat your words or lose your tongue. May not a woman speak the truth? Asks the squaw, and whispers in dreams, and he is not a fool who opens his ears to them. Yellow Bear does not want to quarrel with Wanda. He does not wish to forget she is his wife. He did, or he would not be here, said Wanda, bound woman-like to have the last word. Yellow Bear made no reply, but turned away to see in person to the security of Young Bear and to the other captives. Having found them safe, he came back to his own campfire, folded his blanket about his form, and sat down. Thus he remained until day dawned, when he sent all his braves and warriors, except a guard, to seek far and near for the fugitives. Chapter 19. Discovered. Dave heard the sounds of something approaching stealthily in the bushes. He was startled, brave as he was. At first, he thought surely it was the tread of men walking lightly and carefully. Could it be other Indians coming up to surprise these? Or he had been overheard or discovered, and were the Comanches creeping up in the rear to surprise him? He rose from the work so near completed, and knife in hand stood on guard. He heard the steps coming nearer, and he knew there was more than a one making them now. He glanced through the pickets and saw that the Comanche sentinel had heard the noise, for he too stood in a listening attitude. Nearer and nearer, and Dave knew that it was made by animals. The smell of that meat had drawn him, he murmured. A growl, low and snappish, told him that the large gray wolf of the prairie was his visitor. Answering growls also told him that a pack of them was at hand. He had no fear that they would attack him unless they were hungry. He dared not make any noise to drive them away, for that would at once discover his presence to those inside the stockade. Neither did he dare to bend down and continue his work. One of the animals, having come within reach of his arm, received a sever proud from his knife, one so deep that the blood gushed out in a torrent. True to their wolf nature, the other wolves instantly sprang upon the wounded animal, and amid horrible growls and snarls tore it to pieces and went to devouring it. The noise woke every Indian, and as Dave peered through the chinks in the post, he saw them stand and consult. They had evidently feared a stampede among their horses, and they were about to come out to attack the wolves. To rush back through the pack of wolves and get speedily into the thicket of the brush was the work of a few seconds only, and not a second too soon, for the Indians, with burning firebrands in their hands, rushed out of the stockade, and while others sent a shower of arrows after the wolves, others threw firebrands at them. Had Dave remained near the stockade, he would have been discovered. The wolves fled in terror from the spot, and Indians, seeing that their ponies were not disturbed, returned. When all was still, Dave crept back. The warriors were crouched upon the fire, talking in low tones. One of them went to the little lodge where Dove-Eye lay and looked in. The young girl was there, and she had so covered the signs of her work with her robes that the warrior saw nothing to excite his suspicions. Dave began to work. For a time had been lost during this interruption. 10 minutes later, he touched her hand with his. Then, for the first time, he ventured a whisper. "Keep still while I dig. Least I hurt you with my knife." She did not answer, but she ceased work. It was well she did. The Comanches seemed uneasy. Again, the head brave came and looked at her. She was wrapped up in the robes in time, and he went back to his comrades, satisfied that all was right. Dave now worked like a beaver, and in a little while had a hole so large that it could raise his head inside the lodge. He was small, but he knew that she was not so large as he. "Come," he whispered, "come." He drew back to the outside of the tunnel, and in a second after she was by his side. She had a knife of the Comanche's brave in her hand, and was pleased Dave just then even more. She had a large piece of meat in the other hand, which she gave him. He had fasted since the night before, and was faint with hunger, but he had no time to or inclination to eat until at greater distance from those Comanche braves. He whispered, "Follow in my trail, and we will be still as breath." When they were at the edge of the little prairie, Dave halted to consult with her and to decide whether it was best to stampede the horses or to try to get away without a noise on his horse and getting such a long start that they might not even be overtaken. Half of the night was yet before them. A few whispered words, and later Dove had hard luck. "Yes," said the girl. "Did Long Knife send you to help me?" "He let me come. It was my own heart that sent me." The little brave has a good heart. Dove was a prisoner to Clement, the Comanche. "What? Clement the tiger? He when he wasn't he in the stockade?" "No, he left me there a prisoner while he went to find my father. He said he would take him away from Yellow Bear and then come back to make me his wife. I would put this knife in my heart first. I love Long Rifle. I will be his wife. Buffalo Bill, or Long Rifle as you call him, has already a wife." "What of that?" "He is a great hunter and can feed more wives than I have fingers on both hands. We palefaces have a law. One wife is all the law will let us have." "That is a fool law. Suppose there are a heap more women than there are men. Must all but one go without a husband?" Dave was puzzled, but he bravely answered, "Yes, of course. Dove is not a pale face. She loves Long Rifle, and if he has one wife or a dozen, she does not care." Dave was not good at argument. No man is in love, and Dave was in love with Dove. They had paused to listen many times before day, but had heard no sounds of pursuit so far. But now, when day broke, they knew, of course, that the absence of Dove had been discovered. "We have every bit of 20 miles started. That is a big thing," says Dave. When Dove suggested that the Comanches would follow her trail, two on one horse will tire him out. "Dove had better walk," said the girl. "Nay, time is if there is walking to do, I will go afoot," said Dave. "My Black Hawk can carry us both and make 80 miles a day." As they were now where a bracken rocky ridge stretched out nearly in the course which they should follow, Dave decided to leave the stream. They rode on a little way to a bit of timber, and now Dave thought it was safe to rest for a short time, and to eat some of that meat which Dove had been so thoughtful to save. The two dismounted, for the horse was tired, which at once went to feeding. The roasted buffalo meat, chosen from the tenderness part of the animal, was both tender and juicy, and Dave, as well as Dove, speedily began to loosen the bulk, or lessen the bulk. While they were thus engaged, Dave noticed that his horse stopped feeding and turned his head, with ears pointing towards the route over which they had come. In a second, the scout was on his feet. The next moment, he was in the saddle, calling Dove to mount behind him, for he saw, not a half a mile off, the lances of a band of warriors on his trail. "Save yourself, little brave. The horse will not carry both," she cried. "It will carry both or none," cried Dave earnestly. "Mount with me or dismount, and fight it out here. Little Brave has a good heart, but he is a big fool to risk his life for a squaw," said Dove. "I don't think so," said Dave, as Dove sprang up behind him. The next second he sped away over the ridge as fast as his horse could carry the double burden. On rode the heroic scout, looking down only for some good place where he could halt, take cover, and fight for life. Ahead there was a patch of trees, and if he could gain it before his pursuers came, Dave thought he could hold them in check while Dove could make the escape. On he sped, spurring his horse as never had spurred him before, but weight began to tell, and while the shelter ahead was yet a mile off at least, he felt that the noble horse was beginning to lose ground. He did not speak, but he took one of the two revolvers from his belt and placed it in the hand of Dove. "It comes to the worst," he said in a low tone. "Die with that in your hand, and don't have a load left while there is a Comanche before you. I'm good for a dozen if they don't hit me too hard." Dove took the weapon and looked back. The Comanches were strung along for a half a mile in a line, and only 7 or 8 were very near. One was within almost a spear's length, and he had an arrow drawn up in his bow. Chapter 20. Notal, the woman with a tongue. Dove knew that life was for one or both depended on her. Quick as thought, she raised the pistol and fired directly at the face of the Comanche, and he apparently at the same instant drew his arrow to the head and let it go. The bullet must have been a second the quickest in its fatal mission, for the arrow flew just above the head of the scout, while the ball from Dove's pistol pierced the brain of the Comanche, and he fell forward on his horse. But the strange tendency still clung to his horse with his legs and arms. The animal sprang forward with terror as he felt the dead pressure, and in an instant was alongside of the Black Hawk, and Dave raised his pistol to dispatch the closing enemy as he thought him to be. "Comanche is dead," said Dove. As she did so, Dave caught the rein of the other horse, and it flew loose near his hand, jerked the animal in close to his, and pushed the Indian from the seat. This took scarce a second, and with a bound he sat astride the other horse, calling to Dove to take his saddle on the Black Hawk. He turned while he was speaking, clearing his Spencer rifle from its sling, and without checking the horse, he sent the next Comanche in line to the happy hunting grounds. "Good for the little beaver, or little for the little brave," cried Dove. "We can fight them all." "But not what are ahead of us," cried Dave gloomily, and he called to her to hold up. "The woods ahead are full of reds," he added. "We're cut off, and our time has come." Dove looked in the direction in which he pointed, and she saw fully 100 painted warriors within 100 yards, mounted and ready to charge. One glance, and Dove cried, "They are my people! They are the Sioux!" And waving a scarf which she tore from her waist, she shouted a shrill cry which in an instant changed the hostile attitude of the Indians, and they rode forth with weapons lowered. She pointed to the Comanches, who had halted. Instantly, a band of Sioux warriors darted away after the Comanches, who now turned to fly. And while they dashed on, Dove-Eye, bidding the little brave ride close to her, and fear not, rode on to meet the others. Among them sat an elderly Indian woman on a fine horse with handsome trappings. "My mother," said Dove-Eye, and she rode up to the woman, taking her hand. "Who is this pale face whence you come?" asked the wife of Spotted Tail, for such she was. "He is the little brave. I was a prisoner in the hands of the Comanches. He got me away. You may thank him that I am here," replied Dove-Eye. "Where is Spotted Tail?" "In the hands of the Blackfeet. I was on my way to the great fort of the Palefaces to get the soldiers to help Long Rifle to take him away. Long Rifle has stayed to watch him and save him." "Are there not enough Sioux to fight the Blackfeet, to save their chief?" asked the wife of Spotted Tail. "Must we ask the Palefaces to help us?" "Signals were seen 2 suns ago in the west, and I sent all the warriors who were in from the hunt to answer them. Then I went to find more, and they are here. Long Rifle knows better than we do, and he bade me to go to the fort of the Palefaces. The Blackfeet are many, and they fight strong," said Dove-Eye. Let's my mother go on with the braves if she will. Dove-Eye will go as she promised, to Long Rifle. She will go to the Paleface soldiers." "Where is Long Rifle?" "He is watching to save Spotted Tail, my father. He sent the little brave to save and help me." The wife of Spotted Tail called 2 of the sub-chiefs to her side and held a consultation. "Ah, look there," cried Dave Estes, who had been intently watching to see the Sioux and the Comanches meet in battle. "Those who followed us have been joined by more, and now with your own people they ride this way. What does it mean?" "I do not know. It is strange," said Dove-Eye. Then, as the warrior rode ahead of the rest, coming rapidly on, she cried, "It is my father. He is free. Where is Long Rifle?" Okay, chapter 21. We're going to end right there. And there we go. We're back. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And I want to say this was a great read, and it was a very exciting part of this story tonight. So, with all of that, I don't want to take up your time, but thank you for watching and stopping in. Remember, go out and do something nice for somebody else, because it'll all return back to you. And it's part of who you are and what you do. Don't be greedy. It's live and let live. We got too many troubled times out there. There's way more things to worry about, as you can see by this story, than to worry about the little things in life. A little bit of buffalo meat was enough to, keep Dave Estes alive, and they were more worried about living than anything else. And today we're all worried about other things. So don't worry about the other things. Just worry about life, living. Live life. And with that, go out and be the frequency you want to receive, people. Love you all. Peace, everybody.